Hello everybody, how are you? It's Mrs. McGregor here. Can any of you guess what I've dressed up as today? I'll show you what I've got on my feet. And I had this on my face. I can breathe through this bit here. Can anyone guess what I am? Am I a surfer? Or a paddle boarder, or I could be a kayaker, or even a sailor. I heard that we're doing a topic this week called Under the Sea, and that's actually one of my favourite things is Under the Sea. One of my favourite films when I was a little girl was The Little Mermaid, and I wanted to be able to live under the sea. Does that give you any hints about what I've dressed up as today? That's right, I'm a scuba diver, and I've got a lot of equipment here in my front room that I thought I might tell you a little bit about. So, shall we start with what I'm wearing? Oh, in fact, does anybody know what does a scuba diver do? So a scuba diver puts on lots of equipment and lots of gear, and that means that they can go under the sea and explore under the water. But I'll go through some of the things that you have to wear when you need to go under the water. So, starting with what I've already got on, I've got on a wetsuit. So, this wetsuit, if you're going to go somewhere really warm and the water's really warm, you could go diving under the sea in a wetsuit. And the water goes through it, but it traps between your body and the wetsuit, and then it makes you nice and warm. So you put it on like this, and then there's a big, long piece of cord that you can pull up, so you can pull your wetsuit up. But I'm just going to keep it down a minute because it's a bit hot in my front room, so I'm not going to put it all the way on. But then underneath my wetsuit, I've got another layer to keep me extra warm so I can stay under for a really long time. And this is called a rash vest. And this also just keeps me a little bit warm under the water. But then I've got these funny things on my feet that if I'm walking on land, I need to walk backwards when I'm wearing them. Does anybody know what they're called? It begins with a sound. These are fins. So they're called fins, but some people call them flippers. And you need to wear them when you're under the water because they make you swim really far, and they're a bit better than just your little feet because they're really long, and it means that you can do big kicks and you can travel really far under the water. Okay, you might be wondering, what's this hanging around my neck? Can you tell your friend, what is this? You put it on like this and it goes over your eyes, and then there's a snorkel that goes in your eye. And it means you can put your face under the water and see all the beautiful fish that are underneath the water when you're diving. And the reason I've got it hanging around my neck is that if you were in the water and you had it up here on your forehead trying to look cool, if a wave came along, that's it, your snorkel's gone and you've lost it, and then your dive trip's over. So you make sure that when you've got it on but you're not using it and you're just in the boat, you just keep it around your neck, okay? So, there was something else I was going to tell you. I was going to talk about where in the world do you think you might be able to go scuba diving? So scuba diving is a sport that lots of people do, but there's lots of places in the world that you could do it. First of all, you obviously need some water. So the outfit I'm wearing today, this is for warm water. So you might go to somewhere, or I'll see if I can find it on the globe. This is Hamish's globe. Can I find the Red Sea. It's near Egypt, which is in Africa. So here's Egypt, and next to Egypt is the Red Sea. Okay, and then there's a really cool place on the Red Sea called the Sinai Peninsula, and that's got some gorgeous water and some lovely coral reefs where you can go diving, and I've been there and it's brilliant. Another place you might want to go diving one day is on the other side of the world in Australia, and it's called the Great Barrier Reef. You might have heard of it, and it's just here, and it says actually on this globe Coral Sea, and this is also a fantastic place to go diving where you could wear a wetsuit and you could go under for probably about 50 minutes and have a fantastic time and see loads of beautiful different types of fish. But did you know that actually there are people that also dive in our country, just here on the globe at the top? In the United Kingdom, you can also dive. So I've dived down here in Plymouth, and I've also dived near us at Cape and Ray Quarry. But if you were diving in our country, you probably wouldn't want to wear a wetsuit because it would be very, very cold. I'm just going to put my globe down. I'll put that back over here. So if you were diving in our country, you would want to wear something called a dry suit. I've got it over here on my sofa. So this, and I'll lift it up and I'll show you, this is a dry suit. And this is really big and bulky and really quite heavy. And actually it's got big boots on it as well. So you need different types of fins if you're going to wear this type of dry suit. But this, unlike the wetsuit gets wet and traps water underneath it. The dry suit means that you can go in the water and you can go underneath the water, but you actually stay completely dry. But you also want to be warm if you're under the water. So you can't just put the dry suit on, and it's got a funny valve here which we'll get back to. You'll want to put on an insulating or a thermal suit. So this is a thermal suit, a bit like maybe cavers wear. If you know anything about caving, a caver sometimes wears a big suit like this, and actually a big dry suit as well to go caving. But when you go diving under the water, this is what you want on. You want this to keep you warm, and then you want your dry suit on. So if you're diving somewhere chilly, a bit cold like a quarry, like Cape and Ray Quarry, you want your dry suit on. But that's not it. There's a few more bits that you need for going diving. I'm just going to take my fins off so I can move around a little bit more. I don't know if you... Oh, I'm about to fall over. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a big tank on my floor here. I'll just move the screen so you can see it. So here is a big cylinder or a big tank. Can anybody tell a friend or somebody in the room what this tank might be full of? What do you think this tank has got in it? If you're going to go underneath the water, what do you need to help you breathe? What do we normally breathe? So we normally breathe in the air. So if we're under the water, we need a tank full of air to help us when we're underneath the water so we can stay for a long time and can go exploring. And we can see lots of beautiful things. So this is my tank of air. And attached to my tank of air is this funny device called a BCD. So this is a buoyancy control device, and this helps you stay buoyant in the water. Anyone know what that word buoyant means? See if you can look it up in a dictionary later if you're not sure. So this is a buoyancy aid, and this is my tank of water that I need to help me breathe. So I'm going to have to put all of that on if I want to go under the water, but I need a few more things as well. So that when we go into the water we can actually sink and we can go down quite far, you have to put on a weight belt, because your wetsuit or your dry suit might be quite buoyant and you need to be able to sink underneath. So you put on a quick release weight belt, and it goes around your waist, and you put it like this and then you strap it on. But then if you get into trouble, it's quick release, so you can quickly release it and it can drop to the bottom of the sea so that you can then get back up to the surface and you'll be safe. So we've got our weight belt, We've got our BCD, we've got our tank of air that we need to keep us going. But also, how are we going to breathe it? I'm just going to take my mask off a minute so I can show you a little bit about the BCD and then this funny thing. I'm going to lift this up to show you. Oh, what do you think this is? This is another piece of equipment that I need if I'm going to go under the water. This is called a regulator, and it's got a few different things. It's got this funny thing here. It's got a dial on it. This is a pressure gauge which tells me, I link up my regulator to my tank of air, and then I turn on my tank, and then the needle on the pressure gauge quickly flicks round and shows me how much air I've got in my tank. Now that's really important because if I'm having a really lovely time underneath the water swimming along, I need to keep an eye on my air to make sure I don't run out and to make sure that I have enough to get back up to the surface. So that's my pressure gauge on my regulator. I also have another hose here. This hose attaches to my BCD. Okay, so here's my BCD, and I've got a little inlet here, and I can attach my hose, and it clicks on just like that. And then this means that my BCD is also linked to my tank of air, and I can then add air to my buoyancy control device to keep me in the right position in the water, so I can stay at the right level and I can't go too far down or too far up too quickly, because that's really important when you're under the water, that you don't go down too quickly and that you don't go up too quickly. If you're in year 6 and you want to think about air and how air expands and contracts depending on depth, have a look into that, it's quite interesting. But then also, what are these other things on my regulators? So this is my reg, and this goes in my mouth like this. And it's making a funny sound. I'll just make it again. And this is where the air flows through, and this gives me my oxygen when I'm under the water. When you dive, or when you scuba dive, you always dive in a buddy system. So that means you're always diving with a friend. So that means that on my regs, I've got an extra long hose with another reg on, and this is called an octopus. And this octopus is for my friend. If they're stuck underwater or they run out of air, then it means that I can give this to them. So I can have one in my mouth, and then I can give this one to my friend. And that means that my friend is going to be safe, and then we can both make it to the surface together. So I'll take off my BCD from off the tank, and then I'll just quickly, if I can undo it, I'll quickly show you what this looks like as well. So it's like a little jacket, and it's got a big Velcro in it, and I can put it on like this, and then it straps on, and then obviously I'd have my tank on my back, and then I'd have my regs as well. I'll put them over here like this, and this is what I would look like. I'd have this one in my mouth, and then where's my snorkel? Oh, I've gone and lost my snorkel. And then I'd have my mask over my face like this. Okay, and then that means I'm ready to go off exploring under the sea to see lots of beautiful and different corals and different fish. There's a lot of other equipment that I could show you as well, but I've run out of time. But if you've got any questions that you would like to ask me, then why don't you write them down or tell your teacher, and maybe you could send them to me and I can have a little look and I could answer them, and then I could reply to them via a video that you can watch next week. I hope you're all well and you have good fun exploring your under the sea topic. Bye!